Okay, so if you've been anywhere online lately, especially in the health and wellness space, you've probably seen it. There's this one supplement that just keeps popping up everywhere. People are calling it a total game changer for women with Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome, or PCOS. And that supplement? It's Berberine. But with all this chatter, what's actually true? Let's get into it and figure out what's fact and what's just hype.
I mean, it's a pretty big question, right? This idea that a simple natural herb could be some kind of secret weapon against a condition that affects so many of us, that's huge. So is this just another social media trend that's going to fade away, or is there something real here? Let's unpack the science and see what we find.
Seriously, from fertility forums to TikTok deep dives, Berberine is everywhere. But we all know that what's trending online and what's actually proven in a lab can be two very, very different things. So today, we're going to cut through all of that noise. We're going to look at what the actual research says about Berberine and its connection to PCOS.
Right, so to really understand if Berberine lives up to all this hype, we have to start with the science. What even is this stuff? And more importantly, how is it supposed to work inside our bodies to help with something as complicated as PCOS? Let's unlock it.
So what is Berberine? Well, first off, it's not some brand new drug cooked up in a lab. It's actually a natural compound, an active ingredient that's pulled from plants like Barberry and Goldenseal. And it's been around for a long, long time, used for centuries in traditional medicine for all sorts of things. It's just that now, modern science is finally catching up and taking a really close look at what it can do for metabolic conditions, like PCOS.
And that is the million-dollar question, isn't it? To get the answer, we have to talk about one of the biggest underlying issues for a lot of women with PCOS, and that is insulin resistance. This is where things get really interesting. Okay, so let's break this down. Think of your body like this. Insulin is the key. Its whole job is to unlock your body's cells to let sugar or glucose inside for energy. But for a lot of women with PCOS, those cell locks get kind of rusty or sticky. That's insulin resistance. The key just doesn't work right. So sugar starts to build up in your blood, and your body freaks out and just pumps out more and more insulin to try and fix it, which then throws all your other hormones completely out of balance. What Berberine seems to do is act like a locksmith. It helps make those cell locks way more sensitive to the insulin key again. And you can see how fixing that one thing, your metabolism, can have this huge, positive ripple effect on your hormones.
Okay, so the theory sounds great, right? It all makes sense, but does it actually work in the real world? It's time to go from how it works to what the results are. Let's see what the clinical research has to show us.
When it comes to metabolic health, the evidence is actually pretty strong. We're talking multiple clinical trials and even meta-analyses, the studies that review all the other studies. And they found that yes, Berberine really does improve insulin sensitivity. This leads to some awesome results, like lower fasting blood sugar, less insulin just floating around in your system, and even better cholesterol and triglyceride numbers. What this really means is that Berberine seems to go right for the root cause, that metabolic mess that's at the heart of so many PCOS cases.
And here's where my mind was kind of blown. Researchers put Berberine in a head-to-head matchup with Metformin, which is, the go-to gold standard prescription drug for insulin resistance in PCOS. And Berberine didn't just keep up. In some studies for things like cholesterol and triglycerides, Berberine was actually more effective. That is a massive deal for a natural plant compound.
Remember how we said metabolism and hormones are totally linked? Well, the research proves it. By getting a handle on how the body uses insulin, Berberine has been shown to lower total testosterone levels. That's a huge deal for PCOS symptoms like acne or unwanted hair growth. It also helps fix the ratio of two super important hormones for your cycle, LH and FSH. And on top of all that, some studies even show it can help improve body composition. I mean, what a bonus.
And guess what? When we look at the hormonal side of things, it's the same story. In a direct comparison with Metformin, Berberine holds its own. The research shows it can be just as effective at improving these hormone levels. You're starting to see the pattern here, right? We've got a natural compound that is seriously rivaling a major pharmaceutical drug on several fronts. All right, let's pause and get to the question that I know is on so many people's minds. Fixing numbers on a lab report is one thing, but for so many women with PCOS, the real goal, the big one, is about restoring fertility. So, the big question is, can Berberine actually help you get pregnant? Let's see what the data says.
So the research here is definitely promising, even though it's still kind of new. It seems that by balancing out hormones and improving that insulin sensitivity, some studies show Berberine might help kickstart ovulation and get menstrual cycles back on a regular schedule. But what's really exciting is this potential link to endometrial receptivity, which basically means it could help make the lining of the uterus a better, more welcoming place for an embryo to implant.
And this one specific finding is what really makes you stop and think. It's from a study looking at women going through IVF. The group that took Berberine beforehand didn't just do as well as the Metformin group, they actually had better embryo quality and higher implantation rates. Now, we for sure need more research to confirm this, but wow, that's a really powerful piece of early evidence.
So we've seen what Berberine can do, but where does it fit into the big picture? I mean, it's not the only option out there. Let's put it side by side with some of the other common players in PCOS management.
This table gives us a really clear snapshot. You can see for insulin sensitivity and hormone balance, Berberine is rated as strong, right up there with Metformin. Myo-inositol, another super popular supplement, is also good, but check out that restoring ovulation row. That's where myo-inositol is rated as strong, while Berberine is still in that promising category. And then look at tolerance. Berberine is generally easier on the stomach than Metformin, which is famous for causing GI issues, and myo-inositol is rated excellent. This just makes it so clear that there's no single best choice. It's all about knowing the strengths of each and figuring out what the right tool is for your own personal goals.
Okay, so after looking at the science, the research, the comparisons, where do we land on Berberine? It's time to give the final verdict. But before we can give any kind of verdict, we have to talk about the most important question of all. Is it safe? Because let's be real, just because something is natural does not automatically mean it's risk-free.
So the good news is that for most people, Berberine is pretty well tolerated. The usual side effects are things like mild bloating or nausea. But, and this is a huge but, most of the studies we have are short-term. We just don't have a lot of data on what happens when you take it for years and years, and it's definitely not well studied during pregnancy. It can also interact with other medications you might be taking. So the bottom line here, and this is totally non-negotiable, you do not self-prescribe this. You have to speak with your doctor first.
And this right here might be the single most important thing to remember. Whether we're talking about Berberine or myo-inositol or anything else, these are tools. They are designed to supplement a solid foundation, not build it from scratch.
So here's our final verdict. Berberine is a genuinely promising, seriously interesting tool for your PCOS toolkit. It has real science backing up its benefits for both metabolic and hormonal health. But it is not a magic pill. It's not a quick fix. The foundation for managing PCOS is always going to be that holistic approach. Your nutrition, your movement, your sleep, your stress. Berberine can help make that foundation stronger, but it can't build it for you.
And that's really the question I want to leave you with. Now that you have the facts, could this powerful little plant compound be the missing piece you've been looking for? That's a conversation for you to have with your healthcare team. And now, you're ready to have it.